All right, good day to everyone. So today, if you tuned in, you're ready to see the difference between the PolarPro neutral density filter and a neutral density filter that's of a lower price point. So I got these two filters recently, right here. There's the Sunnylife and then the PolarPro. This is the for the Mavic Pro, and this is an ND32, and it looks like it has a little bit of polarization to it as well. So it's not necessarily going to be apples to apples, because I don't believe the Sunnylife neutral density filter has the polarization. But keep in mind that those are the two very distinct differences. Alas, we're still going to compare the neutral density 32 of the PolarPro to the Sunnylife lesser cost ones. So if I remember correctly, these 6 from Sunnylife cost somewhere around $40 to $45, and you got 6 of them in this nice case. It seems to be well padded. It's a very thin padding, but you don't really need a whole lot of padding with these filters. It sets in there really nice. Now this PolarPro one costs $30 for just one filter. And if we take it out, I have not opened this up yet. Try not to scratch it. Whoa. Seems like we got a few things here. There's a guide that talks about putting it on the camera that's attached to that 3-axis gimbal on the Mavic Pro. Correct alignment, and it has a incorrect here, and here it just shows a little bit of space between that first notch on the camera, and you want it to set flush on there. So that's describing that. I'm not gonna worry about it, I'm not gonna take it with me. This is a sticker, okay, you know, great. And then we got another cloth here. That's nice. Oh, it looks like a carrying case. Let's see here. I'll actually take this out and you know, throw the filter in here. Why not? All right, gonna get it out without putting my fingers on the lens. Got a little bit of debris on there. I'll blow that off. It's very thin, very thin. These walls are, I don't know if you can see that very well, but the very thin. I'm gonna stick that in the bag, in the PolarPro bag, and take that with me. All right, here we go. So as I make my way out to our location to test these neutral density filters, let's talk about shutter speed for a second. Shutter speed is important to get that nice cinematic motion blur when filming from a drone or any type of camera. In order to do that, you want to double your frames per second in the denominator of your shutter speed. So, for example, if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, you would ideally, to get that cinematic motion blur, want to have 1/50th of shutter speed. If you're shooting at 30 frames per second, you probably guessed, you'll want to shoot 1/60th of your shutter speed to get that cinematic motion blur. The problem when shooting a video without a neutral density filter in a bright environment is that your shutter speed is going to need to be at a lower value, 1/250th maybe, or 1/500th. A really fast shutter speed in order to cancel out a lot of that brightness that'll enter into the picture and kind of wash out all the detail and colors. So that's why it's very important to use a neutral density filter when you're filming in a bright environment. It just allows for you to get that lower shutter speed that we want when we're trying to shoot a cinematic-like video. So, we're almost here, and we'll check it out in a minute. Okay, just to give you an idea, I'm in a pretty interesting spot right now. I had to turn this camera's shutter speed down to 1/500th in order to get an image that's not completely washed out. There is an internal ND filter on this camera too. I'm not sure how strong it is. I'm sure I could look up the specifications, but I haven't. And I'm still operating on 1/500th. So I'm going to put these the 32 neutral density filter on the Mavic and fly it up over some water and around some other trees and stuff, and see if the image is not completely washed out at 1/60th, shooting at 30 frames per second. These next videos I'm going to be flying through a riverbed here with the Sunnylife ND32 filter on top and the PolarPro on the bottom. The PolarPro is polarized, so it's not necessarily an apples to apples comparison here, but I do believe I had the polarization 90 degrees off on the PolarPro, essentially rendering it useless. So we're just kind of looking at the 32 neutral density aspect of these filters right now, and in that regard, they don't look a whole lot different. I can't really tell a huge difference. Maybe with the railroad track shot that's coming up here next, the PolarPro seems a little more clear. Now let's have a look at the difference between polarized and non-polarized lenses. The PolarPro is polarized. This is an image with a polarized lens. You can see there's no glare on that wooden tabletop. And as we transition to the Sunnylife non-polarized lens, you see that glare appear. Pretty obvious. That's the difference.